The night was heavy with silence, the kind of silence that pressed down on the chest like a weight. The forest was broken, burned trees standing like black skeletons, their branches reaching up as if begging for mercy from a sky that gave none. The moon slipped through the clouds in thin silver lines, casting shadows across the ruined ground. Ethan moved carefully, his boots crunching softly on dead leaves, his rifle held ready. He was a soldier, trained for war, trained to face enemies without hesitation. But tonight felt different. The forest was too quiet, too watchful, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath. Ethan scanned the darkness, his heart beating in steady rhythm with his footsteps. Every broken log, every cracked stone seemed alive, waiting to strike. Then he heard it, a voice, faint, trembling, carried by the wind. "Don't shoot me, human." Ethan froze. His grip on the rifle tightened, finger brushing the trigger. The voice was soft, almost like a whisper from a dream, but it was real. He turned slowly toward the sound, his eyes narrowing as they searched the shadows. His training told him it could be a trap. Many times before, enemies had lured soldiers with cries of weakness, only to strike when they lowered their guard. Still, something in that voice made him pause. It was not just fear, it was desperation, the kind that came from someone at the edge of life. He stepped forward, his breath shallow. The beam of moonlight revealed her, kneeling in the dirt. Her body, trembling, was an alien woman. Her skin glowed faintly, pale with streaks of silver marked with strange patterns across her arms. Her eyes shone in the darkness, wide and filled with terror. She raised her hands slowly, palms open in surrender. "Please," she whispered, again her voice breaking. "Don't kill me." Ethan's chest tightened. His weapon remained aimed at her, the barrel steady. He could see she was wounded. A deep cut ran along her side, blood dark and wet against the silver glow of her skin. She was shaking, not just from fear, but from weakness. His mind raced. She was his enemy. She was part of the same species that had burned his home, that had taken his comrades in battle. Every lesson, every order told him to pull the trigger and end it. But then her eyes met his. They were not the eyes of a soldier ready to fight, nor the eyes of a killer waiting for a chance. They were the eyes of someone begging for life. Ethan's breath caught. He took a step closer, the gun still pointed, his muscles tense. The alien woman lowered her head as if bowing. "If you let me live," she whispered, her words trembling, "I will give you a family." The sentence struck him harder than a bullet. His thoughts staggered. What did she mean? Was it some trick, or was it a promise from her kind? Something he did not understand. His memories stirred. The faces of his family long gone, taken by war. The loneliness that followed him in every camp, every patrol, every sleepless night. His finger twitched on the trigger, but he did not shoot. The forest seemed to lean closer around him, shadows whispering for him to choose. The woman swayed weakly, her body nearly falling. "Please," she said again, her voice cracking. "Let me live." Ethan's jaw tightened. He scanned the trees, searching for movement. If this was a trap, he would be dead in moments. Yet no sound came except the rustle of dying leaves. He stepped even closer now, the gun still raised, but his eyes locked on hers. Her lips trembled, her breath ragged. She was not lying in wait. She was breaking. Ethan lowered the rifle slightly, though not fully. His voice was hard, low. "Why should I trust you?" Her eyes lifted again, wet with tears that shimmered under the moon. "Because I have nothing left, except the promise I gave you." Ethan's chest ached with conflict. A soldier's mind screamed for caution, but a human heart whispered for mercy. The forest seemed to pulse with silence, waiting for his choice. He kept the gun half raised, his body caught between two worlds. His eyes did not leave hers, not even for a moment. Suspense coiled in the night air, as if time itself was holding its breath. Would he kill her and walk away, a soldier following orders? Or would he take the first step toward something far more dangerous, the choice to spare her life? The forest gave no answer, only the whisper of her trembling voice. Don't shoot me, human. Let me live. Ethan's heart pounded in his chest as the alien woman's words echoed inside his mind. I will give you a family. The phrase was strange, alien, almost impossible to understand. He kept the rifle aimed at her, but something inside him hesitated. The woman pressed her hand against the wound in her side, blood soaking through her silver-marked skin. Her breath was shallow, every inhale a struggle. Yet even in that broken state, her eyes never left him. They shone with a pleading light, almost human in their desperation. Ethan narrowed his eyes, voice sharp. What do you mean? What family? Her lips trembled as she spoke. In my people's vow, saving a life binds souls together. You become protector and I become your kin. We are no longer strangers, we are family. That is the promise I give you. Ethan's grip tightened around his rifle. Family. The word twisted something deep inside him. He had lost his family years ago, buried them under the fires of war. He remembered the empty house, the silence in his tent, the loneliness he carried like a second weapon. Family was a dream long gone. You expect me to believe that? He asked coldly, though his voice shook faintly. I should kill you where you kneel. You are my enemy. The alien woman bowed her head, her voice cracking like broken glass. If I were your enemy, you would already be dead. I have no weapon, no strength. I have only my vow. Ethan studied her closely. Her thin arms shook as she kept them raised in surrender. Her wound bled steadily, yet she did not try to crawl away. She stayed there, exposed, trembling, whispering, promises that sounded like madness. His mind argued against his heart. She could be lying. She could be using your weakness against you. But then her voice came again, soft, desperate. You are alone, she whispered. I see it in your eyes. I am alone too. If you let me live, we will not be alone anymore. The words struck like an arrow. Ethan hated that she was right. He had walked through endless nights with no one beside him, only silence and ghosts. He clenched his jaw, fighting the ache inside his chest. Still, suspicion burned. Why are they hunting you? He asked suddenly. Her eyes darkened, shadows crossing her face. Because I broke their law. I refused to kill. I refused to take part in their war. For that, I was marked as traitor. They will drag me back and I will die by their hands. I beg you, do not let them take me. Ethan felt the air thicken with her words. A traitor to her own kind. An outcast. It explained her wound, her fear, the way she shook with every sound in the forest. You expect me to risk myself for you? He asked, his tone rough. She lifted her gaze, tears streaking her cheeks, voice low but steady. I expect you to see that mercy is stronger than war. If you save me, I will never leave you. I will be bound to you until the end. You will not walk this world alone. Ethan's chest ached with a strange pull, something between anger and longing. He remembered his mother's words long ago, that family was not always born of blood but of choice. Could this alien woman be offering him that choice, here in the ruins of war? The silence of the forest deepened, wrapping around them. Ethan lowered his rifle slightly, though he still kept it ready. His voice came softer, almost unwilling. And if I walk away now? If I leave you to die? Her body swayed with weakness, but she forced herself to meet his eyes. Then I die with your face as the last thing I see. But if you spare me, human, I live for you. That is my vow. Ethan felt his breath catch. Her words were more than a plea. They were a promise carved in fire and sorrow. He had killed many enemies, but none had begged for life in this way. None had spoken of family. His finger twitched against the trigger, yet he did not fire. Instead, he found himself kneeling slightly, bringing his face closer to hers, searching for lies in her eyes. All he saw was pain, fear, and a desperate kind of hope. The forest seemed to hold its breath. The shadows stretched longer, the moonlight sharp across her trembling form. Ethan realized he was standing on the edge of a choice that could change everything. Finally, his voice came, quiet but firm. "If I spare you, you stay close. You do not betray me. You breathe because I allow it, understand?" The alien woman's lips quivered and she nodded quickly, tears falling onto the dirt. "Yes, I swear it. You are my protector now. I am yours." Ethan lowered the rifle fully at last, though his heart raced with uncertainty. He could not explain why he did it, whether it was mercy, weakness, or something deeper, but the choice was made. The alien woman's body shuddered with relief. She leaned forward, almost collapsing, her forehead touching the ground before him as if in sacred vow. Her voice was a whisper barely carried by the wind. "You have saved me. Now I am your family." Ethan felt a strange chill crawl across his skin. In that broken forest, under a dying moon, he realized his life had just changed. Ethan kept his rifle close to his chest as he led the alien woman through the broken forest. The night air was cold, sharp against his skin, and the silence felt heavy as if danger waited behind every shadow. The woman stumbled with each step, her wound slowing her down. She held her side tightly, breathing hard, but she never asked him to stop. Ethan's mind was restless. He did not trust her. He could not. She was an alien, an enemy, yet she followed him like a fragile shadow, her eyes filled with the strange vow she had spoken. "You are my protector now. I am your family." The words stayed in his head, louder than the crunch of leaves under their boots. They reached the ruins of an old shelter, broken stone walls and a roof half collapsed. Ethan checked the corners, his soldier instincts alert. No movement, no sound of enemies. He nodded once and motioned for her to sit. She sank down against the wall, her legs trembling as if they could no longer carry her. Her wound looked worse in the pale moonlight. Blood seeped through the cloth she had pressed to her side, staining her glowing skin. Ethan frowned. He was no healer, but if she kept bleeding, she would not last the night. He opened his pack, pulling out a small water flask and a strip of cloth. He knelt in front of her, his movement sharp and controlled. "Hold still," he said firmly. The woman's eyes widened in surprise, then softened. She lowered her hands, letting him take over. Ethan pressed the cloth against her wound, wrapping it tight to slow the bleeding. She hissed in pain, her body trembling. But she did not pull away. "You help me," she whispered softly, her voice weak but filled with wonder. "Even when your heart does not trust me." Ethan kept his eyes on the bandage, his jaw tight. "If you die, I'll have wasted my time. That's all." But deep inside, he knew it was not the truth. He had seen many wounded enemies before, and he had never stopped to save them. So why now? Why her? He told himself it was because she might be useful, because she might know things. Yet when her trembling fingers touched his wrist, he felt something deeper, something he could not explain. She took the flask when he handed it to her, sipping carefully. Water dripped down her chin, and she gasped softly as if the taste itself was a gift. "Thank you," she whispered. Ethan sat back, watching her cautiously. He noticed how fragile she looked in the ruined shelter, her glowing skin dim under the moonlight, her shoulders trembling with exhaustion. She was not a warrior now. She was just a broken figure clinging to life. Still, unease gnawed at him. "What if she is tricking you?" his mind whispered. "What if she is only waiting for you to sleep?" He kept the rifle across his lap, never letting it leave his hands. The woman leaned her head back against the stone wall, closing her eyes. Her voice was soft, almost a sigh. "In my world, we do not drink water freely, only those who earn it through loyalty. You gave me water. You gave me life again. I am bound to you more than ever." Ethan looked away, uncomfortable with the way her words pressed into his chest. He told himself not to listen, not to care. but her vow echoed in his head like a promise he had not asked for. The night stretched on. Outside, the wind moved through the trees with low whispers, carrying faint sounds. Ethan's sharp ears caught something. A distant crack of branches, the faint echo of footsteps. He froze, eyes narrowing. Someone was out there. The woman's eyes opened instantly, fear flashing across her face. "They are searching," she whispered, her voice trembling. "They will not stop until I am dead or taken back." Ethan gripped his rifle tighter, his body tense. He stood and moved to the edge of the shelter, scanning the dark forest. Shadows shifted, but he could not yet see the enemy. His heart pounded with the knowledge that hunters were closing in. Behind him, the alien woman's breathing grew faster. She pressed her hand to her wound and looked at him with desperate eyes. "If they find me, they will kill me slowly. Do not let them take me, please." Ethan did not answer. His eyes stayed locked on the tree line where movement flickered faintly in the moonlight. He was a soldier, and danger was no stranger to him. Yet tonight felt different. He was not only fighting for himself, he was guarding someone who claimed to be family. The thought unsettled him, but he did not push it away. He raised his rifle and steadied his breath. The woman's voice came again, weak but sure. "I will not betray you. I am yours now, in life or in death." Her words settled in his chest like a weight he could not remove. The forest whispered, with footsteps closer. The night was no longer silent. It was filled with the promise of danger. Ethan's finger rested on the trigger, his eyes sharp. The hunted had become the protector, and the vow of an alien woman tied his fate to hers. The ruined shelter felt smaller, the shadows heavier. Any moment, the enemy could burst through. Ethan's jaw tightened, his heart steady. He had chosen to save her. Now he would face the price. The air outside the ruined shelter grew colder, heavier, as if the forest itself knew something dangerous was approaching. Ethan stood near the broken wall, rifle steady, eyes locked on the tree line. The alien woman stayed pressed against the stones, her breath shallow, her hands shaking as she clutched her wound. The silence cracked when a branch snapped in the distance. Ethan's muscles tensed. His ears caught the faint rhythm of footsteps, more than one, moving carefully but not carefully enough to escape a soldier's senses. They were closing in. The woman's eyes widened with fear. She whispered, her voice trembling, "They are here. They have found me." Ethan's jaw clenched. He did not look back at her, his eyes fixed on the dark shapes shifting between trees. "Stay quiet," he muttered. His grip on the rifle tightened, his finger brushing the trigger. Voices echoed through the night, sharp and guttural in an alien tongue. The hunters called to one another, their words carrying both anger and certainty. They knew their prey was near. Ethan's body stiffened. He had heard that tone before, hunters confident of the kill. The woman pushed herself up weakly, her hand reaching out toward him. "They will not stop. If they take me back, they will make me suffer before death. Please do not let them." Ethan cut her off with a hard whisper. "Stay down. If they find us, I'll deal with it." The shadows grew thicker as the hunters stepped closer. Ethan could make out their glowing eyes in the darkness, 3, maybe 4 of them, moving like predators through the ruined forest. Their weapons glinted faintly in the moonlight, sharp and deadly. One of the hunters shouted, his voice cutting through the night like a blade. The alien woman flinched, covering her mouth to keep from crying out. Tears streamed down her face as she shook her head, whispering in broken words, "They will drag me. They will break me." Ethan turned his head slightly, his eyes cold. "Not if I stop them first." The hunters drew closer, their steps confident, their voices cruel. One laughed, a sound that made the woman shiver. They were enjoying the chase, certain of their victory. Ethan could not let them see fear, not in him, not in her. He crouched low, moving silently to a crack in the broken wall. He watched them advance, their glowing eyes scanning the ruins. One raised his weapon, pointing toward the shelter. They knew. The woman gasped softly, panic rising. She crawled closer to Ethan, her trembling hand brushing against his boot. "Do not leave me," she whispered. Ethan glanced down at her, his face hard, his voice firm. "I'm not leaving. But you must trust me." Her eyes locked on his, shining with desperation. She nodded weakly, pressing herself into the shadows. The hunters moved fast now, their boots crunching on dead leaves. The ruined shelter was seconds away from being surrounded. Ethan's mind raced, his soldier instincts burning. He had to strike first. He steadied his rifle, breath sharp and slow. His finger tightened on the trigger. The first shot cracked like thunder. One hunter fell, his weapon clattering to the ground. The others roared in rage, their glowing eyes blazing brighter as they fired back. Sparks lit the ruins as bullets slammed into stone. The woman cried out in fear but covered her mouth again, hiding her voice. Ethan stayed low, moving with precision. He fired again, his shot tearing through another hunter's shoulder, sending him spinning to the ground. Forest exploded with chaos, gunfire, shouting, smoke rising where explosions cracked the air. The hunters fought like wild beasts, but Ethan fought like a soldier. Every move was sharp, every shot exact. He was no longer just surviving, he was protecting. Through the noise, the woman crawled closer, whispering broken prayers in her alien tongue. Her eyes never left him, wide with awe and terror. He fought for her, and every bullet he fired seemed to tie her vow tighter to his soul. One hunter rushed close, a blade raised high. Ethan swung his rifle like a club, slamming the barrel into the attacker's face. The hunter fell back, screaming in rage. Ethan finished him with a single shot, his eyes burning cold. Silence returned slowly, broken only by the crackle of smoke and the heavy breathing of the survivor. The last hunter dragged himself away, wounded, retreating into the trees with curses echoing in his strange tongue. Ethan stayed still, rifle raised, waiting for another attack. But the forest grew quiet again, shadows returning to stillness. The woman crawled toward him, her hands trembling, tears staining her glowing cheeks. She looked at him as if he were something more than human, something impossible. "You fought for me," she whispered, her voice breaking. "You could have let them take me, but you stood against them all." Ethan turned, his rifle still smoking. His chest heaved with breath, his face set in stone. "I told you. If they want you, they go through me first." Her lips trembled, her eyes wet with both fear and gratitude. She bowed her head low, her voice soft but full of certainty. "Now the vow is sealed. You are not just my protector. You are my family." Ethan felt the weight of her words pressing into him, heavier than the rifle in his hands. He looked out into the dark forest, the silence after battle louder than the fight itself. He had chosen to spare her. Now he had chosen to fight for her. And the night was far from over. The forest burned with silence after the clash, but Ethan knew it was not over. Hunters never traveled alone. If a group had found them, more were close behind. His soldier's instinct screamed that danger was still near. Smoke curled through the ruined shelter, carrying the bitter smell of gunfire. Ethan reloaded quickly, hands steady, every movement practiced through years of war. His eyes scanned the trees, sharp and unblinking. The alien woman leaned against the wall, her body trembling from pain and fear. Her wide, glowing eyes followed him as if he were the only thing holding the night together. "They will come again," she whispered. Her voice was weak, broken, but filled with certainty. "They will not stop until I am gone." Ethan gave her a quick glance, his jaw hard. "Then we fight until they have nothing left to send." Her lips trembled. "Why risk yourself for me? You could leave. You could survive alone." Ethan tightened the strap of his rifle and moved closer to the window slit of the shelter. His answer was short, sharp. "Because I made a choice, and I don't go back on choices." Before she could reply, the sound came. The low, rumbling growl of engines in the distance. Lights flickered between the trees, weaving like predators' eyes. More hunters, this time stronger, better armed. The woman gasped, covering her mouth with her hand. Her voice was a soft prayer, words Ethan could not understand. He crouched low, rifle raised, every nerve alive. The hunters emerged like shadows, peeling away from the dark. 6 of them, armored and armed, spreading across the forest floor. Their weapons glowed faintly, dangerous and deadly. They moved with the slow confidence of killers who believed their prey had no escape. Ethan's chest tightened, but he did not falter. He whispered back to the woman, "Stay hidden. Don't move unless I tell you." She nodded quickly, pressing herself against the cold stone. The hunters closed in, their leader barking orders in a sharp alien tongue. They fanned out, circling the ruins. Ethan's pulse slowed, his breathing steady. He had faced worse odds before. Numbers did not scare him. Hesitation did, and he would not allow it. The first hunter stepped close to the shelter, his weapon raised. Ethan struck before the alien could react. A flash of muzzle fire lit the dark as Ethan's shot pierced through armor, sending the hunter crashing to the ground. Shouts exploded. The others charged forward, weapons firing, bursts of light tearing through stone. Dust and shards rained down as the shelter shook under the assault. The woman cried out but quickly silenced herself, clutching her wound, eyes wide with terror. Ethan moved with sharp precision. He rolled to the side, fired another shot, and dropped a second hunter. Bullets tore past him, one grazing his shoulder, but he ignored the pain. His focus was unbroken. The hunters stormed into the ruins. One swung a blade, metal sparking in the moonlight. Ethan caught the strike with his rifle, twisting and slamming the attacker into the wall. He fired point blank, the blast echoing through the hollow shelter. Another came from behind, but the alien woman screamed a warning. Ethan spun, firing quickly, dropping the enemy before the blade reached him. He glanced at her, breath heavy. "Stay down." Her hand shook, but she whispered, "I will not let them take you from me. You are mine now. I cannot lose you." Ethan turned back to the fight. Smoke filled the ruins, making it hard to see. Shadows lunged at him, gunfire blinding in the dark. He fought like a storm, every movement fueled by both duty and something stronger. The bond he had not asked for but could no longer deny. The leader of the hunters roared, stepping through the dust, his armor heavier, his weapon glowing with cruel fire. He aimed at the alien woman, his voice sharp with triumph. Ethan moved faster than thought. He threw himself between her and the shot. The blast seared past, scorching the wall. Ethan fired back, his bullets slamming into the leader's chest. The armored figure staggered, then fell to his knees, the light in his weapon fading. The battlefield went silent again. The surviving hunters dragged themselves away, leaving their fallen behind. Their voices carried rage, but also fear. They had not expected a single human soldier to stand against them all. Ethan stood in the smoke, chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. His body ached, his shoulder burned, but he was alive. Slowly, he lowered his rifle. The alien woman crawled toward him, tears spilling down her cheeks. She reached out with trembling hands, touching his arm. "You fought them all. For me." Her voice shook, filled with awe and disbelief. Ethan looked down at her, his face unreadable. "I told you, if they want you, they'll have to go through me." She pressed her forehead against his arm, whispering words in her alien tongue, then in broken human speech. "You are my protector, you are my family." Ethan let out a slow breath, the weight of her vow pressing heavier than the night itself. He had fought for survival before, but never like this. This time he had fought not only for his life, but for hers. The ruins were silent again, but the silence was not safe. More enemies would come. Ethan knew the fight was far from finished. Yet as he looked at the woman trembling beside him, he realized something had already changed. He was no longer alone. The smoke drifted slowly out of the ruins, rising into the cold night air. The sound of battle had faded, but the memory of it clung to the stones like scars. Ethan leaned against the wall, breathing hard, his rifle resting across his knees. His shoulder burned from the graze, but pain was nothing new to him. What was new was the trembling figure sitting only a few steps away. The alien woman pressed her hands to her wound, her glowing skin pale from blood loss. Yet her eyes never left Ethan. They were wide, wet with tears. and filled with something he had not expected, not fear, not even relief, but a strange, fragile devotion. She whispered softly, her voice breaking the silence. "You fought for me when no one else would. You could have left me, but you did not. Do you know what that means?" Ethan's jaw tightened. He looked away, staring into the shadows of the broken forest. "It means I'm a fool, maybe." Her lips curved into the faintest of smiles, though her body shook with weakness. "No, it means you are more than soldier. You are family now. To me, forever." The word family hit him harder than the gunfire had. His mind stirred with old memories, faces that were gone, laughter that had died long ago, warmth that war had stolen. Family had always been an empty space inside him. Now, this alien woman spoke the word as if it was alive again. He shook his head, trying to harden himself. "I don't even know your name." She lowered her gaze, her voice soft as wind. "My name in your tongue would sound strange, but it means star that refuses to die. Call me that if you wish." Ethan studied her. Her body was weak, her skin torn, but her spirit seemed unbroken. "And what exactly do you think this bond means?" he asked, his tone sharp. She lifted her eyes to his, unblinking. "In my people's vow, when one saves another's life, the bond is unbreakable. It is not choice, it is fate. You are my protector, I am your kin. We walk together until death." Ethan frowned. "And if I don't want this bond?" She reached out with trembling fingers, touching his hand where it gripped the rifle. Her touch was warm despite her weakness. "Then you already break it. But the bond does not care for want. It only cares for truth. You saved me. You fought for me. That cannot be undone." Her words unsettled him. A soldier lived with choices. But this felt like something beyond choice. It felt heavy, dangerous, and yet strangely comforting. Ethan pulled his hand back, standing and scanning the forest again. "This bond of yours, it will only put a target on my back." The woman leaned her head against the stone wall, her voice low but steady. "The target was already there. The hunters chase you because you are human. They chase me because I betrayed them. Now we stand together. Alone we fall, but together we may survive." Her words echoed with a harsh truth he could not deny. Ethan had walked through many battles, but survival alone had left him hollow. Survival with someone beside him, even if she was alien, even if she was fragile, that was different. He turned back toward her, his eyes narrowing. "You speak as if this bond is stronger than blood." She nodded slowly, her tears glinting in the moonlight. "It is. Blood can be broken. Bonds of vow cannot. When I call you family, it is not words. It is life." For the first time since the night began, Ethan felt his chest tighten with something unfamiliar. Not just suspicion, not just caution. It was the faint stir of belonging, of being seen, of being needed. The alien woman's voice trembled as she spoke again. "I have nothing left but you. I cannot walk far, I cannot fight, but I will not leave your side. You are my protector, and I am yours. Together, we are more than the war around us." Ethan sat down slowly, his rifle across his lap. He studied her face, the way her glowing eyes refused to look away, the way her body shook but her vow did not. For a long moment, silence hung heavy. Then Ethan's voice came, quiet but unyielding. "If this bond of yours is real, then you'd better understand something. I don't carry dead weight. You stay close, you follow my lead. You do what I say when I say it." Her lips curved into a weak smile. "Yes, I follow. I trust. Because family means trust." Ethan's eyes lingered on her, uncertain. He wanted to deny her, to break away, to keep the walls around his heart. But the truth was already in his actions. He had spared her. He had fought for her. He was still here, watching over her. The night stretched on, the forest whispering with the promise of more danger. Yet for the first time in years, Ethan did not feel completely alone. The alien woman leaned her head against the stone, whispering one last promise before sleep pulled her down. You are not alone anymore. Not ever again. Ethan looked out, into the dark horizon, the weight of her words pressing into him like armor. He had not asked for family. He had not asked for a bond, but it had found him all the same. And deep inside he wondered if he could ever let it go. The night finally gave way to light. Slowly, the darkness thinned, and the pale glow of dawn began to stretch across the ruined forest. The broken trees, the shattered shelter, and the blood-stained ground looked different under the soft warmth of morning. It was no less dangerous, but in the light it seemed less endless. Ethan sat near the crumbling wall, his rifle resting on his knees, eyes sharp as ever. He had not slept. A soldier's instinct never allowed him such peace, not in enemy ground, not with the scent of smoke still clinging to the air. Yet his body carried more than duty now. It carried the weight of the promise whispered through the night. The alien woman stirred, her breath shallow but steady. Her wound still bled faintly, though Ethan had tightened the bandages during the night. She opened her eyes slowly, blinking against the morning light, and when she saw him still there, still watching, she whispered weakly, "You did not leave." Ethan turned his gaze toward her, his face calm but unreadable. "I don't leave. People behind. Not anymore." Her lips curved faintly, her voice no stronger than a breath. "Then it is true. You are my family now." The word still twisted inside him. He wanted to reject it, to keep his walls high. But every time he looked, at her fragile yet unbroken, the word felt less foreign. The forest around them was not safe. Birds cried overhead, and in the distance came faint echoes, the sound of engines, the shouts of patrols, reminders that the hunters were not finished. Yet in this brief pause, this fragile dawn, Ethan felt something rare. He felt choice. He studied the woman closely. Her skin glowed faintly in the morning sun, silver patterns across her arms catching the light. Her eyes, though clouded with exhaustion, still held that strange bond, that vow she had spoken again and again. Family. "You keep saying that word," Ethan muttered, his voice low. "Family. You don't even know what it means for us." She met his gaze without flinching. "For you, it means those bound by blood. For me, it means those bound by vow. Blood can betray. Vows cannot." Her answer was simple, yet it cut deep. Ethan remembered faces that had vanished, promises that had been broken by war. And now, here was this alien woman, trembling, bleeding, yet speaking of loyalty stronger than blood. He stood scanning the horizon. Smoke still rose far in the distance, marking battles he had no part in. "If you stay with me, the hunters will follow. They'll never stop." The woman tried to sit straighter, though her body shook with weakness. "Then let them follow. I would rather run with you than die in their chains. You gave me life. I give you myself." Her voice cracked, but her words did not falter. Ethan's chest tightened. For years, survival had been his only goal. Survive today. Survive the next battle. Survive the war. But now, for the first time, survival was not just about himself. It was about someone who looked at him as if his life mattered beyond the uniform, beyond the weapon, beyond the scars. The sun rose higher, streaks of gold breaking through the ash-gray sky. The woman reached out with her trembling hand. Ethan hesitated only for a moment before taking it. Her skin was warm, fragile against his calloused palm. She smiled faintly, her eyes soft. "We walk together now." He did not answer, but he did not let go. They stepped out of the ruins together, the forest stretching before them, vast and dangerous. Every shadow could hide hunters. Every tree could hold death. Yet the path ahead felt different. Not safer, but less empty. As they walked, Ethan's thoughts turned. Could this bond truly last? Could a human soldier and an alien woman stand together against the weight of war? The future was a storm, full of unknowns. But in this moment, with her hand in his, He felt something he had not felt in years. Hope. The woman whispered softly as they moved into the light. The dawn has come. Darkness is behind us. From this day, we are family. Ethan glanced at her, the corner of his mouth tightening into the faintest trace of a smile. Then let's see how long family survives in a world like this. Her grip tightened on his hand. As long as we breathe, as long as we stand. Together, the forest swallowed their footsteps as they disappeared into the rising sun. A soldier and an alien woman, bound by survival, bound by vow, bound by something neither of them had expected, but both of them now carried. The unbreakable bond of a new family. And though danger waited ahead for the first time in years, Ethan did not feel like a man walking into war alone.